Hello guys, good evening everyone. I hope my voice is audible. Please text in the chat box whether my voice is audible or not. Please put a message in the chat box. Audible? Okay. Fine. So let us start with the session, guys. Okay. In the last class, we have started with the functions, right? So we have seen there are two types of functions. So first one is nothing but the built-in functions. So second one is nothing but the user-defined functions, right? So in that only we have seen again the sub functions also, like how many we have in the built-in functions and in the user-defined. User-defined we have not started. We have not discussed anything about the user-defined functions, but we have seen about the built-in functions that what we have. Okay. So in the built-in function that we have seen what is the functionality of the alert function. Okay, we have taken an example, we have displayed about like how that pop-up will be getting and what are the differences that which we have between the alert and the other functions. So all this we have seen. Okay, so next we have also discussed about the conform function, and then we have discussed about the prompt also. So by this time that you guys would have been understood that how much important this a prompt inbuilt function is important. Why? Because whenever you wanted to take an input from the user, if you wanted to perform any kind of an operation, let it be for one a simple calculator if you wanted to build it, or if a simple addition of two numbers if you wanted to do it any time, whatever the input that you wanted to take it from the user, so you have to use this prompt. By using an alert, by using a confirm, we can just display the messages, but we cannot do, means we cannot take any kind of an input from the users. But by using a prompt, we can do that particular task. Okay, and we have also seen that this for this prompt function, whenever we are taking an input from the user, by default that input will be in the string format only. But sometimes, see, if we wanted to perform addition of two numbers, or if we wanted to take any other category of an inputs, by default it will be considered as what? It will be considered as a string only. So this is why we have other categories of the functions also, which we have to use it to convert according to our requirement. So prompt, if you are using any kind of giving a characters, or if you are giving any kind of a sequence of characters, all that, you can directly go with the prompt only. Okay, but if at all int that if I am taking it, okay, so for that particular thing, so we have seen that one method is required. Okay, so one method is required, which is nothing but the parseInt. So why this parseInt? Because whenever we are taking an input, addition of two numbers means that input first we have to convert into an integer. Then only we will be able to perform the operations that what we wanted to do it. Okay, and similarly that we have the parse float also. Okay, that is, see, whenever that we are taking an input. Okay, so sometimes we will be taking an integer also, sometimes we will be giving in terms of the float also. Okay, but if you are just converting that directly to the int, we know that point values whatever it is there, directly it will be truncated. Okay, so directly it will be truncated. So that is why that what we have to do whenever we are taking an input in terms of the decimal point, all that, we have to go with what? We have to go with the float. Otherwise, there is a chance that you will be losing a data, directly the values will be truncated whenever you are trying to accept the values in terms of the decimal point of the values. Fine. So similarly, we have also seen one more type of a function here, which is nothing but the square. Okay, we know that this will be coming under what? This will be coming under the math. Okay, so inside the math, a lot of functions we have a square root, we have a power, we have an absolute value. So like this, we have a multiple kind of a functions under the math under the math folder. Okay, so inside that only that the square root everything. Okay, so it is like a kind of a package. You will be telling it, right? Suppose if you wanted to use a scanner in Java, so what you will be doing, you will be using a certain kind of the packages, you will be using it. So similarly, even here also, if we wanted to use this square root or any other mathematical or math operations or math functions, if we wanted to use it, then we have to tell math dot and then only we can use that particular functions. So in that we have seen only one. As I said, we have the other different types also, so that also what we can do, we can use it. Fine. So these are the inbuilt functions that which we have discussed along with an examples, practical implementation, all that we have done. Okay. So now it's a time that we have to see that how can we create and user defined functions. Okay, so in the user defined functions, the first way that how we can create it, it is a function declaration. Okay, so by using this approach, we can create a function, and what we can do is we can perform the operations. Okay, so not only the function declaration, we also have something called as a function expression as well. So this is also is one approach where what we can do is we can create a function. Okay, so we have one more type of an user defined function also, which is nothing but an anonymous function. See, this anonymous word whatever it is, that this word you would have been already heard in a Java also. Like anonymous in the sense what, like a for that particular object reference will not be there, like that. So we have to use it only once. For one time utilization is what that we will be creating this anonymous function, all that, right? Similarly, here also we can create anonymous functions where we no need to provide any kind of a name for that. Okay, so directly what we can do is we can create a functions. So that type of functions, this category also we have in the JavaScript. And we have one more very much important function, okay, which is nothing but an arrow function. Okay, see guys, understand, in the last classes also I have already repeated this arrow functions, that whatever it is, that this is the most important function. Okay, where not only in the JavaScript, you will also be utilizing this when you go to the frameworks like Angular, or when you go to the libraries like a React. So everywhere, whenever you wanted to create some function, whenever you wanted to perform a certain function, the efficient one which they will be using most of the times is this arrow functions. Okay, so if you understand that the syntax properly, then it will be very easy to make your code, to make your logic very much efficiently. Okay, so these are the functions. So inbuilt functions we have already seen. So now the practical implementation, whatever it is there, in terms of the user defined function, we have to see it. Okay, so before we start implementing each of them, first thing is you have to know about the syntax of how we have to create this user defined functions. Okay, so here we have a syntax also. That syntax you have to remember. You can think, ma'am, these are user defined functions. No, however we want, we can create. Yes, whatever name you wanted to give it, you can give a name. But for every type of a function that we will be having a syntax. So by seeing that particular syntax only, it will become easy for you guys to create this user defined functions. Okay, so the first one that what we have is nothing but it is a function declaration. Okay, so under the function declaration, so we will be having a syntax as well. Okay, so here as usual you have to use one keyword here, which is nothing but as a function. Okay, so yes, what we are doing here, we are creating a function. So in the function declaration, first what you have to do here is you have to give that particular keyword as a function. Okay, after that you have to provide one function name. Whatever the name that you wanted to give, that particular name you can give it. But you have to tell a function, keyword you have to use it, and you have to give a name for your function. After that, you, if any parameters that you wanted to give for your particular function, you can provide that parameters. See again, you have to open and close the curly brace. Why? Because inside this function, if you wanted to give any logical operations, if you want to display anything, all that directly you can do what? You can do inside this only. Okay, so this is how will be there. So inside this, the block of the code or a function body, whatever it is there, that we can provide it. Okay, understand? By seeing the syntax, that don't think that definitely you have to provide a parameter, all that. So same function declaration only, without giving a parameters, directly you can perform inside the functions only. Okay, why specifically I have provided here in the syntax as a parameter here is because that as a standard syntax, that if we are seeing that even the parameters will be included. Again, it is an optional. Giving the parameters is not mandatory. If you want to give a parameters, give it. If you don't want to give the parameters, don't give it. It is purely based on the requirement. Okay, but this is a syntax of creating what? Of creating the function declaration. You can see the syntax is very simple. Function keyword, function name, if parameters are required, parameters inside that parenthesis, and then if you wanted to provide any kind of a body inside a curly braces, we have to provide that function body. Okay, after this, you guys know, I no need to specifically tell this to you guys. Why? Because this already would have been done in the Java. Whenever you are creating any method, whenever you are creating any function, until and unless that you are not calling it explicitly, the functions will not be invoked. And inside that function, whatever the operations you would have been given, that operations will not get executed. So it's the same approach only. See, if it is an inbuilt function, you no need to call it explicitly. But all the user defined methods or all user defined function, it is mandatory that we have to explicitly call that function. Then only whatever we have given, that operations will be performed. Okay, so first let us see the practical example of this, and then we'll move to the next type of the functions that whatever we have. Okay, so let us go back to the Visual Studio here. Okay, so this is a example that which we have seen in the last class, right? So we have used the math.square root. So this is the last function again, which is nothing but the inbuilt function is what we have seen. Okay, so just comment those statements, all the three statements. So let us comment it. Okay, so comment it and give there as an heading as a function declaration. So we are using the same file only. Why? Because even this also includes in the functions only. So no need of creating a separate file, not required. Directly we can provide it here only. Okay. So now what I will be doing, so there are different approaches where you can use this function, all that. Okay. So that different approaches in terms of the practical is what that I'll be showing it. Normally we will be creating a function and little bit more operations we can do it. So different ways that which we have here. Okay, so here what I'll be doing is first create one variable. So tell here var a equals to, so you guys already know how to create a variable. So tell var b, so one more variable that I am giving here. Okay, so one function I will be creating here. Okay, so tell here function keyword we have to use it. So function, then we have to give one function name. So function name, give it here as a display. Anything which you wanted to provide, you can provide it. There is nothing which we have and restrictions here. Okay, open and close parenthesis there, and open and close the curly braces for the body. So this is a normal thing. Okay, so whatever we are giving inside that, what we have to do, we have to call it. So after closing that curly brace, so call the function. So tell there as a display. It is same process only. Okay, just we have to provide what is a function name. By telling this a statement, what we can do, we will be calling that function, we will be invoking that function. So inside that whatever operations, that operations that we will be giving it. Okay, so first thing that what I will be doing here, see, without giving parameters also you can give it. Okay, with giving the parameters also you can give it. Okay, it is completely up to you that how you will be giving it. Okay, so first with parameter I'll show. So later on without the parameter also how you can display a message, that also I will show. Okay, so inside that parameters, okay, so use that variables a comma b. Okay, see, understand guys here. So what is the main important rule that you have to understand in terms of the function creating here is, if you are not, see, in the line number 33 and 34, what we have done is we have declared a variable. Okay, same variables only, what we are doing here is we are using here as a parameter. Okay, So when it comes to the Java, so here you will be having a thought of instance variables and local variables, all that. But understand here, all variables, whatever it is there, it is the same only. Okay, we will not be doing any kind of a differentiation here, calling it as a instance variables or a local variables, all that. No. Okay, but one thing that what you have to understand is whenever you are creating a parameters there, whenever you are giving a parameters there, you should not use either of the keywords. You should not tell as a var, you should not tell as a let, you should not tell as a constant as well. Directly whatever the parameters, that is what the parameters you have to give it. So that is why what I have done before itself, before creating a function itself, what I have done here, I have declared that particular variables. You already know any variable we are creating it by using a var, what happens, wherever you want we can invoke that particular variables. Already you are aware about the scope of the variables by using a var, let or the constant, all of this already you are aware about it, right? So what I will do here, in the display whenever I am calling, okay, so there I will be passing certain arguments. You know, whatever we will be giving through here, so they are technically called as what, as an arguments. To receive this arguments, to accept this arguments only, there we are, what we have done here, we have given the parameters here as what, as a and b. Okay, so here I will be telling as 10 comma 20, I will be telling it. 10 will go and sit where, in the a variable. 20 where it will go and sit, it will go and sit in the b variable. This is a normal thing. Okay, so inside that particular function what I will be giving here, so I will be using here as an alert. You can use anything. You can tell document.write, you can tell console.log, you can use an alert here, you can use a confirm here, whatever you wanted to use it, you can use it. Okay, so every time we will be displaying it in the console only. So here what I will do, just to show the different kind of an example, I will just use here alert function. Okay, so use here alert function. Okay, so inside that tell as an a plus b. So we are telling here as what, as a plus b. Okay, see, try to understand this example very carefully. See, the most important thing that which you have to know here, first thing is how can we create a function by using a function declaration. And understand, function declaration is a function which is very standard, which is a common way of creating a function in the JavaScript. Whatever operation you wanted to provide it, you can provide it and give it, and but this is how that what you can do, you can create a function declaration. Fine. So save this file, and which file we have to go and execute now? We have to go for an index.html file. That is the file that which we have to execute if we want to check the result of this particular instructions. Okay, so go back to the index. So first you can see script we have here, already we have connected the file because same function file only we are using it. Okay, so right click, open with a live server. Okay, open with live server. Once it is done, in the Chrome, see, alert is what that we have seen, right? So as a pop-up that it has to come, and what is an addition of that numbers, it has to display to us. Okay, can you see the pop-up how we are getting here in the alert? What input we have given? 10 and 20 is what we have given. So, and what operation we are performing? Addition. We have said there as an a plus b. So addition it is doing, as since we are using an alert here, you can see as a pop-up we are getting with one button as an OK button, and addition of two numbers, you can see 30 is what it is displaying for us. Same thing, if you want to display it in the console also you can display. If you want to display this in the document also you can display it. But this is how that we can do what? We can create a function declaration as a standard. So this is one example. Okay, this is where we have taken a parameters, and this is how that inside a function performing an operation and displaying. Okay, so let me quickly show you guys about without taking a parameters also how we can give the things, or whether it will be working or whether it will not be working. Okay, so just comment all those statements. Just comment all those statements. Okay, so next one, let us create one function. I'll not give any kind of a variables, all that I'll not be giving it. So just to tell function declaration, so function keyword we have to give it. One name for the function we have to give, so give it as a display only. Okay, open and close parenthesis, we are not giving any parameters here. So inside this give as a confirm, you can use anything, you can use an alert if you want, use it, confirm you want to use it, whatever you want it, you can use it. So tell here confirm. So confirm function I am using here. So inside the double quotes, tell us this is function declaration. So just one statement I am giving here as this is function declaration. So just one message is what that we will be printing as a pop-up inside that particular function. But if this has to work, what we have to do? We have to call that function. Okay, if you are not calling that function, what happens? We cannot do what? We cannot invoke it and it will not be executed as well. Okay, so come out of that function and call that function. Okay, so tell here as display. Okay, so this is how that what we have to do. We have to give up what? Calling the function, and inside that whatever we have given, it will be created. So what type of this, what type of function is this? Function declaration, but it is zero parameterized. We are not giving any kind of a parameters, all that we are not providing it. Okay, so run this instructions. So can you see here as a pop-up what I am getting here? This is function declaration. Since we have used a confirm function, what we are getting here? Two things, two buttons we are getting, OK button and cancel button. So this is how that we can create a function declaration without the parameters as well. It's the same syntax only, just it is up to you whether you are including a parameters or whether you are not including a parameters. Fine. So there is one more thing that which you have to know is returning. What if you are returning some value from the function? So how we have to store it, how we have to display it. So let us see that example as well. See, same thing you can follow it in the function expression also, you can follow in the anonymous function also, and you can follow it in the arrow functions as well. So examples will be same. Functionalities you can do in whichever you want. Only the thing that what you have to do is remembering the syntax or going with the requirement. Whether you want to create a function in way of function declaration or function expression or anonymous function or the arrow function. So operations will be same only. Syntax is what will be changed. If you are understanding this one type of functions with all the examples properly, rest of the examples are nothing but just changing the syntax. That's all. Remaining everything will be same only. Okay. So go back to the Visual Studio. So comment those statements. Okay. So here next thing here is again tell here one more example I am giving here. Tell here as a function. Function. Give an function name as a display. Open and close curly braces, give the body also, call that function as well. See, this is a way that you have to learn whenever you are writing any kind of a scripts, coding, all that. Okay. So properly step by step if you are doing it, then you will not miss any kind of a steps. Okay. So what I will be doing here is I will be declaring a variables inside a function only. Okay. I will be initializing it there only. Okay. So inside a function only, tell there as where a equals to 1, where b equals to 5. Okay. So here what I will be doing, I will be performing a multiplication. Whatever operation you wanted to do it, you do it. I am just showing here for multiplication, that's all. If multiplication, if you wanted to do what we have to tell, we have to tell a into b, correct? So tell there a into b. Now this a into b, after doing it, we will be getting one result. That result what I will be doing here is, I will be returning back that to the function. So here we have a same keyword only here, which is nothing but the return. Okay. So tell there as a return. So use the same keyword here called as a return. So what we are doing here, whatever multiplication we have done, whatever the result it is there, we are returning back to that function. So where it will be coming from the return, from where it will be coming for a function here. So here what we have to do, we have to receive that whatever that has been returned for us by the function. So here we will be using that assignment operator equals to assignment operator, and here we can take one more variable tell here as a result. So one variable that I am taking here, so this variable what you have to do, you have to declare. Why? Because this is a new variable. So tell here as a var. So we have declared it. So this is how the value whatever that has been returned by the function, this is how you can accept that particular value. Okay, and after that it is left to you whether you are printing that in the console or where you are printing it. Okay, but let us use here a console only. So tell here as console.log of result. So same result whatever it is there, we are printing that particular result here. Okay, so this is how that whatever the thing or operations it is there, you can return up the values also, all that. Okay, all those things that you can do it here only. Okay, so run and show the result of this in the console. So let us see. Okay, so see that same error we are getting, failed to load the resources. So what you have to do, close it, again you have to do the refreshment and again you have to come back, but you can see result I am getting there. 1 into 5 what I will be getting, we will be getting the result as a 5 only there. Okay, so reload once again and open the console. So whenever you are getting that error, what you have to do, just you have to reload it and you have to open it. Okay, now you can see, do we have that error? That is not any kind of a syntactical error. Sometimes to load our resources, if it is a delay, that kind of an errors we will be getting it. You no need to worry it. So just refresh it, execute it once again. You can see 5 I am getting in the console. So this is how that what we can do is, whatever the value that we are taking it, whatever the value it is returning, that value we can take it and we can display it. In whichever approach you wanted to do it, you can do this particular thing. Okay, so this is how that what we can do is, we can try to perform all kind of an operations like a function, declaration, syntax is what you have to remember. But remaining whatever it is, the remaining all the things like whatever operation you wanted to perform, you can perform that. I hope the syntax of the function, declaration and examples that like how and all we can give it, how we can display it, so all this it is clear to everyone. Okay, so similarly that we have the other types of functions also. Okay, so let us see the other types of the functions as well. Okay, so let us go to our animations. So in that, let us see that what is the syntax we have, the second type. So second type of the function which we have is nothing but the function expression. What and all we have seen, what and all we have performed in the function declaration, same thing that we can do it where, same thing we can do it that in the function expression as well. Okay, so let us see that particular syntax as well. Okay, so here whatever the function that you will be creating, this function should be present as an expression. You know how already that expression in the sense of kind of an assigning or giving all kind of parameters in terms of proper expression, it should be there. Okay, so how we have to do that here is, see here whatever the function name it is there, that function name here we will be considering as one variable name only. Okay, that is why here we have to use a keyword. Either you can use a var or a let or a const, anything, but making use of the var will make us to fetch that particular thing anywhere. Okay, so that is why what we are giving here, we are giving here as a var. Okay, so after that what we have to tell here is, we have to use that function name. Again I am repeating it. Function name you can consider a variable name, but as a standard it will be that you have to consider as a variable. But while invoking, this is what that this is the name that what we have to use and we have to invoke it. So that is why few people they'll be telling this as a function name, few people will be telling this as a variable name. Okay, as a standard you can tell this as a variable name, but at the same time, since we will be invoking it, whenever we are creating a function, whenever we are invoking it, what we have to use, function name. That is why in the syntax, instead of telling a variable name, usually in the syntax they will be including this as a function name only, so that nobody will get confused. Why? Because we don't call a variables. We don't invoke a variables. Like if any operations if you wanted to. So what we will be doing? We will be invoking a functions. So that is why as a function name that they will be using it here. Okay. So after this you can see equals to. Why we are using this equals to is because understand this is an expression. So whenever we are creating as a function expression, as an expression is what that we have to provide it here. Okay. So after this thing, so now you have to tell that function keyword whatever it is there, and then any parameters if you wanted to give, you can give it. Then inside that curly braces, whatever the function body is that function body you have to provide. So this is a syntax of creating what? Of creating in a function expression approach or in a function expression way. Okay. So here you can see the syntax once again, same thing we are giving it, where we have to tell it function name we have to tell equals to function keyword, parameters, and inside that function body whatever it is that we have to provide it. So this is how the function expression whatever it is that we can give it. Okay. So let us go back to the Visual Studio and let us try to implement this function expression that what we have. Okay. So comment those statements and give an heading as an function expression. Provide here as an function expression. So again, whatever the approaches we have followed, you can give a parameters here. If you don't want to give a parameters, you no need of giving of a parameters. It is completely up to you that what you wanted to give it. Okay. So here what I will be doing here is same two variables I will be creating here. So here I will be telling here as an var a equals to give us 5. Next tell var b equals to 2. So one variable we are creating it, we are initializing it also. Now we will be creating a function in terms of what? In terms of the function expression. So what is the syntax? First var we have to tell it, not only var, any keyword you can use it guys. You can use a let, you can use a const, but why people will be preferring var is because you can access from any scope. Okay, from wherever you wanted to access, you can access it. Okay, so here name of this function or variable name I will be giving here as an display only. So give this as an display. Okay, so after that what we have to do, since it is an expression, we have to give here as an equals. So we have to tell as an equals, then what we have to use? Function keyword we have to use it here. We have to tell, so what we are creating here, it is what? It is a function. So open and close parenthesis we have given there. Okay. So curly brace also we have given it. Next what we have to do, we have to come out of that function and we have to call it. So by using what we will be calling it, same function name or variable name we have to use it and we have to invoke it. So tell here as a display and call that particular function. Open and close parenthesis, we are calling it. Okay. So inside this what I will be doing here is, okay, same variables that whatever it is there I will be using as a parameters there. Okay. So inside function tell there as an a comma b. Means whatever the values are present there, so same values only we are utilizing here also as what? As a comma b. Directly you can pass a parameters there, or directly you can what you can do, directly you can use it also inside that function. Okay. So I'll get inside the body here. Okay. So here one condition I'll check. Okay. So here to check a condition, you already know what are the control constructs that we have to use it, or we can use it, all that you are already aware. Okay. I'll be using here if control construct. So tell here if one condition we will be checking here. So check the condition then a is greater than b. Okay, we are just checking one condition, a is greater than b. Okay, so inside that function use an alert function and tell in the double quotes as the function is true. Sorry, give as the condition is true. Instead of giving a function, give that as a condition is true. Okay. So go with the else part also, give here as an else also, and use an alert here, confirm anything whichever you want, you use it. So give the message as the condition is false. So whichever statement you wanted to provide, you can provide it. So but I am giving here as what, as the condition is false. So this is how that I have given. Okay. So here we are calling that particular function also, everything we are doing it. Okay. So whatever operation you wanted to check, any conditions if you wanted to do, looping if you wanted to perform, everything we can give it here. Okay. So let us execute and check that what exactly we are getting here. Okay. So run this particular file and show. So what I am getting here, the condition is true. Why? Because A variable is there, B variable is there, so A is greater than B. Why? What values we have given for A and B? So check the values that what we have provided. Go back to the Visual Studio. So what we have given here, 5 and 2. What condition we are checking here? A greater than B. Yes, condition is true. So that is why what we are getting here, yes, the condition is true, A is greater than B. You can see here parameters that what we have given here. For that parameters, it is not mandatory that what we have to get here is condition. I mean arguments, it's not mandatory that you have to provide it. Okay. So directly whatever it is that directly that we can give it and we can print it here. Okay. So show the result once again. So what we are getting here, the condition is false here, we are getting here. Okay, go back to the code. So here condition is false, why we are getting here is the values are not getting passed here. Because of that only, that condition, that whatever it is, that condition we are getting here as a false. Okay, so what I'll be doing here is, so just whatever the variables we have declared on the top on 60 and 61. So comment those statements there. Do one thing, take back those statements, copy that statements, inside a function declare it, okay. Give a space and remove that parameters whatever we have given there, remove that parameters. Okay, see, one thing is, if you are declaring outside also, inside the function we can invoke it. It is not that we cannot invoke it all that, but what we have to use here is, we have to use this keyword and then only we can access that particular variables, because we have declared that outside that function, but it doesn't mean that we cannot invoke it. Okay, so we can use this keyword and we can invoke it, but let us see this particular example. In the next example, directly we can pass the parameter and we can fetch it. Okay, so already we have passed it, so we no need of sending any kind of an arguments here, parameters not required. Now save and run the program. So now what we are getting here, now we are getting here as condition is true. Okay, see, same thing, same rules and regulations only you have to follow here. One thing is, if we are providing the parameters, okay, which we have declared the variables outside, and if we are given any kind of a values, without any doubt we can invoke it, but what you have to use here, this keyword you have to use and you have to invoke it. Let it be inside a display function, whenever you are invoking, it is the same process only, outside also it is the same process. But one thing you have to observe here is, it will not throw us any kind of an error. Even though you are not passing an arguments, even though the values it is not getting received, directly what it is telling, condition is false. But did it throw us any kind of an errors here? No. This is why that we have to be very careful with the result that what we are getting here, and this is why that we have to be very careful that whenever we are writing the logics in the JavaScript, errors in many of the cases it will not be throwing to us. So we will not come to know that whether the error is, because we will be getting the result directly. If we are getting the result directly, what we will be thinking, the result, the logic what we have written is correct. But according to the logic what we have written, we have declared the variables outside, but we are trying to invoke it inside. We are getting a result, but what result we have got it? We have got the result as a false. Without taking the values, without comparing the values, directly it gave as a false. It did not even throw us an error. So that is why we have to be very careful. But rules whatever it is there, it is same. Parameters whenever you are giving, you need to pass that, for that parameters argument you have to pass it. Otherwise, at least by using this keyword, you have to invoke it. Otherwise, values will not be considered. I hope this example is clear to everyone. Fine. So similar way, go back to the Visual Studio. So similar way only what you can do, you can return up the values here, you can store it. It is the same thing only. Like how we have given that in the function declaration, it is the same thing only that which we can give it even here as well. Again and again same examples, I am not showing it. Whatever you have applied it in the function declaration, same thing you can apply it here also. What is one thing you have to focus is syntax. Apart from that, everything is same. Okay, so let us see that how we can create an anonymous function as well. Okay, so let us go back to the animation. Okay, so anonymous in the sense you will be knowing. So we will not be giving any kind of proper object creations, all that we will not be having here. Okay, so let us see that how that particular anonymous function will be created. Okay, so you can see directly we are telling a function keyword here. After telling a function keyword, directly what we will be doing, we will be providing that particular parameters. And inside that, whatever that function body, whatever it is that function body is what we have to do, we have to take it or we have to provide it. Okay, so similar manner only what we can do is we can create an arrow functions also, we can create that particular arrow functions. Okay, so similarly all this functions whatever it is that functions that what we can do is we can give it. Okay, so this anonymous functions that whatever it is there, so this anonymous functions I am giving you guys as a task. Okay, so try to see that how exactly this anonymous functions will be created in the JavaScript. Why? Because anonymous functions in the sense like we will be creating it only once. Anonymous means you already know. It is a kind of a nameless. So properly giving that function name or all that will not be present. So try to check it out that how we can do this anonymous or how we can create this anonymous functions in the JavaScript. Okay, but I'll show you guys that how we can do the arrow functions. Okay, because arrow functions is very much important in the JavaScript and even in the other frameworks and libraries. Fine. So here how we will be creating is, see, this will be same like your function expression only. Okay, if you understand the function expression, this clearly you will be able to understand. Okay, so here I am using a var here. Okay, means any keyword whichever you wanted to give it, you can use it, and function name we have to provide it here. After that, equals we are giving here. Okay, but you can see here directly we are providing here the parameters. Nowhere I will be using here that keyword which is nothing but the function keyword. We will not be using it. We will be telling a var or a let or a constant that keyword. Function name we have to tell it, equals to as an expression we have to create it, and directly parameters whatever it is that we will be creating. And since this is an arrow function, remember arrow you have to provide it here. And inside that, same as usual, whatever the function body it is that function body you can provide it here. Okay, so this is how that we will be creating what? We will be creating our arrow functions that whatever we have. Okay, so same function body is what that we have to provide here. What we have to remember? Syntax, keyword we have to give it, function name we have to give it, equals to as an expression, and directly we have to provide that particular parameters. Function keyword we will not be using, and most importantly arrow function you have to use it. Okay, see, probably in the JavaScript the complete functionality and efficiency you might not understand. Okay, but when you start learning your frameworks, when you start learning your libraries, multiple lines of the statements you can make it very shorter, very efficient in terms of the function expression, and we can give it. Okay, if you would have been seen in function declaration, in function expression, even in the anonymous function, everywhere function name we will be giving, function keyword also we will be giving, parameters also. But if you are seeing that function keyword we will not be giving it. So you can make your code very shorter, very efficient by using this arrow functions. Fine. So let us try to implement this practically. So let us go back to the Visual Studio here. So same operations you can do it here. So there is nothing that which is extra. What you have done in the function declaration, what you have done in the function expression, or what you will be doing in the research as an research in the anonymous function, same thing only you can provide it even in the arrow function as well. So just the thing is you need to remember the syntax, that's all. Fine. So comment those statements and give an heading as an arrow function. As an arrow function. Provide as an arrow function. So same thing only that we will be giving here, okay, in terms of arrow functions also, okay. So first tell as a var, okay, then we have to give a function name. So tell here as a display, any function name, give it equals to, you have to tell equals to, and inside open and close parenthesis parameters you have to provide. So here I'll be telling as a comma b, okay, one parameter, however arguments I'll be passing it. Then arrow you have to give. How arrow? In the sense, here first you have to provide equals to, then you have to provide a greater operator, okay. This is how you have to create an arrow here, okay. So don't think in a keyboard, don't go and search that where is this arrow is present, all that, no. You have to tell equals and that greater than, both the operators you have to include, and this is how that arrow that you can create it in the JavaScript. Fine. So after that open and close curly brace, okay. So inside that just tell as return lowercase return. So tell here as a divided by b, okay. But for this we have to provide a values as an arguments, we have to provide it, right. So call that particular function by using that function name, okay. So there pass some parameters there, okay. So give here 10 comma 20, anything whatever you wanted to check, but remember we are performing their division, okay. So whatever you wanted to do you can give the values. So since we are returning it, what we have to do, we have to accept that in the variable, okay. So create one variable there, as a result that we can create it, okay. So but that variable we have to declare it as well, okay. Remember in few cases if you are not declaring also it will be working, but just because it will be working it, don't be without declaring a variables until and unless for the parameters. For the parameters in the functions you should not tell var, let, constant, all that, no, okay. For this you tell it as a var, okay. So print that in the console. You can print that in the alert or as a pop-up also, you can print it however you want, you can print it. So just tell here as a result, okay. So go back, try to execute this function. So reload it once again. So what we are getting here, 0.5, okay. Why? Because we are performing the division. You can see this is also is one approach of creating what? Of creating a function. So this is what? This is an arrow function. So this is how all the different types of the functions that whatever we have in the JavaScript, we can give it, okay. See, approach is left to you. Whichever you feel efficient, you use it. Whichever you feel comfortable of using a function, create a function, you use it. But in the interviews, they will be asking you specifically about an arrow functions, about a function expressions, about a function declaration, about an anonymous function. You need to know, see, just difference just lies between the syntax, that's all. What operation I can do in a function declaration, I can do it in the other functions also. But only the difference is what? In terms of what? In terms of the syntax. So make sure that syntax, whatever it is there, properly you will be remembering it, and the different ways of creating a functions, I hope it is clear to everyone. So this is how that what we can do, user defined functions we can create. Again, just because this is very simple, don't be without practicing it. Why? Because programs, if you wanted to execute it, you have to make sure as what? You have to make sure that you have to know all those things, okay. So in the last classes, I said you guys that In the class I'll be giving you the certain kind of a programs and that you have to solve all that, okay, but I'll not be displaying that in the class, okay. I'll be just making a kind of a document in that the list of the programs will be there. That programs, try to do it in the JavaScript. So if you have completed till the functions, it means that any kind of a program that let them ask or let them give, easily you will be able to solve. Okay, so I'll be making a set of program statements, I'll be giving it, I'll be sharing that a document for you guys in the Slack group. Make sure try to solve all that programs. Okay, remember anonymous function, just because I have not done in the class, don't skip that. If they're asking in the interviews, you are the one who will be losing an opportunity there. So make sure whenever you are practicing it, try to do the research on the anonymous function as well. Fine. So this is all about the functions, inbuilt functions also, user defined functions also. Fine. So please make sure that practice all these things. Okay. So next we have a very important topic also, but if we start now we cannot complete it. So that topic we will be discussing in the next class. But if you wanted to know that topic, if you wanted to understand the topics, having a knowledge on the functions is important. Make sure do the revisions on the functions and come for the next class. Fine. So I'll be winding up the session here for today, guys. So thank you so much to everyone. We'll meet up in next class. Thank you all.